Hello and welcome back to the NRLW Weekly podcast. We're your hosts. My name is Marlee Silva. I'm on the sidelines all through the NRLW season with 9, and I am joined, as always, with the one, the only Sky Blues assistant coach, Ruan Sims. On the show today, we recap the massive round 3 of NRLW that we just saw. We also speak fresh off an Olympic gold medal win, Dragons halfback Tyla King, and we do a preview of what is to come in the week ahead. But Ru, first of all, how are you? It's great to be here with you as always.
Thanks, Marlee. Yes, it is good. It was a big weekend of footy, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh,
Can't wait to do it all again this weekend.
Yes, and with that, it is now time for our top 2 with Ru.
Well, I'm going to combine 2 of our segments today in the top 2 with Ru.
Mm-hmm.
And I threw Jordan earlier because I said, I'll combine the 2 and then you can just play the second opener straight away. And he said, I like where your head's at, but we don't have a second opener for the hungriest player and team of the week. So we'll get ourselves a sponsor for that. And then we can actually, I can use my line well.
Of course.
Anyway, so top 2 with Ru. Number 1, combining with the team of the week.
Yes.
The Dragons upset
my
over the
goodness.
Knights.
Yes.
And the Broncos' big victory over the Titans.
Isn't it just so good? 3 weeks in, you think you know how teams are going to look this season, and bam, it just gets all thrown out the window.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It is such a short season that it's almost like playing a World Cup where it's like tournament style and you just never know what's going to happen and how it's going to affect it in the long run. I think obviously when the season expands, and it will very, very quickly and very soon, things will change. You'll find that sort of level a little bit. But at the moment, that was a massive upset. I think 2 undefeated teams. So the Titans, which you had as your benchmark for the season, they were leading into this round really, really well. 44 points scored on them, and the Broncos were scintillating.
Weren't they just?
Scintillating. It was such a display by the Broncos and a real statement. So we always knew that was probably going to be the game of the round.
Yeah.
And the Broncos just turned up firing.
100%.
So they earned that victory. They absolutely earned it. And then the Dragons, the final game of the weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people had given the Dragons much chance.
No.
They hadn't won a game. They're a very young side. Defensively, they'd leaked a lot of points against the Cowboys the week before, which was the main issue that I had with them, was just the amount of points that they'd leaked against a team that is not as attacking as the Knights are.
Yes.
And then they came out and put on that performance. Like they were down 10-0.
I think that's almost even more impressive than just the win. It's the coming back from that deficit.
Yeah, and they were down 10-0. And I'm telling you now, there is no, how do I say this? It's no coincidence that this turnaround came when Tyla King came onto the field. And I'm so glad that we're going to talk to her today because I want to speak to her about that, because when she came on, that completely changed the complexion of that Dragons outfit. And also, they turned up defensively. Yeah. They leaked a couple of early tries, but then they came back. And I think that's quite pleasing for Dragons fans.
Yeah, it was really exciting. I have to admit I was a little bit worried about what the Dragon season was going to look like until this weekend. And I just thought it was so impressive. You were at the Newcastle game. I was up in Brisbane and saw that incredible Brisbane win. I spoke to Georgia Hale, the captain of the Titans, after, and she was saying it's a really important reality check. And I think it would be, again, games like this, even though that was a really big scoreline and, you know, some fans might be disappointed when something blows out like that, it's ultimately good because we're going to see that fire kind of really be reignited again.
You see the return fire, absolutely.
And, I think the Bronx really came into their own. We were sort of saying that the Broncos didn't look like the Broncos for the first couple of weeks, and we just saw it there.
Again, it's no coincidence that Gal Broughton returns to the fold and things open up.
Yeah.
Stacey Walker was incredible. But now this sort of leads into
I thought it might.
Yeah, my second of the top 2 with Ru, and also my hungriest player of the week, Melo Hufanga.
My goodness.
My goodness. Like, you know, you spoke to her at halftime and she came off and she said, the girls just make me look good. Mate, the stuff I see her do,
I know,
incredible. And obviously Gail is the half on the left, Mele is the left centre. And, you know, obviously that works really well for the Broncos. But what they did was just dominant.
Yeah.
And Melair was leading the charge there. Gail Broughton was fantastic as well. And Stacey Walker, first game in NRLW, some of the stuff she did was amazing, which we
Incredible.
expect amazing things out of her because she's such an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
But I just thought all three of those girls were incredible. Mela Hufanga, the first person or first NRLW player to score 4 tries in back-to-back seasons
Wow.
in round 3 as well.
Oh my goodness.
This time last year, round 3, she scored 4 tries.
Wow.
So
that's a good track record.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. She'd be circling round 3 in her diary
Yeah.
every time she gets the draw now going forward. She's like, yep, I can add 4 to my tally there this week.
Nice.
Perfect.
Do you know what?
So,
Before that game, I saw a TikTok that Melee and Gail were doing together. And I'm like, is that how they just combine like that? They're just doing dances together off the field as well. We love to see it.
yeah, so that I was pretty chuffed with those performances.
Thank you, Rue. Well, you are listening to the NRLW Weekly podcast with Marlee Silva and Ruan Sims, thanks to Lite and Easy, fueling Australian sport.
Hi, it's Emma Tonagato from the Cronulla Sharks, and this is the podcast the players listen to, the NRLW Weekly podcast with Ruan Sims and Marlee Silva.
Well, I am now very, very pleased to say that we are joined by someone we've already spoken to in this episode of the NRLW Weekly podcast, the one and only Tyla King. Now, some people might not know you as that name, Tyla, because you're pretty fresh to being married. We last year were calling you Tyla Nathan Wong. But how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. And I'm good. I'm really good. It's good to be back in the NRLW of the incredible Olympic campaign and to be back with the Dragons girls. I'm having so much fun.
I tell you what, I'm glad that we said good things about you guys when you came on and were listening to us there. That would have been awkward otherwise.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit, but hey, we had a good weekend, so
Absolutely.
it's good.
I said to Stacey Walker after her game in Brizzy on the weekend, did you let the girls touch the gold medal for good luck or something? Did you do the same thing? Because both your teams got the win.
Yeah, I did actually. I brought the gold medal in the Tuesday night that I first arrived at our kind of gym recovery session. Yeah, brought the medal in, and then I had the other 2 medals with me as well. So all the girls got to see it and touch it and see how heavy it was. And yeah, it was pretty cool just to be back with them and the energy that they brought when I first saw them again. It was amazing.
Well, the energy definitely, I could tell as soon as you got on the field, the energy changed. It was fantastic to see. And to me, that's not just about you as a football player. That's just your leadership that you bring without having the C next to your name. You still have those leadership qualities.
Yeah, I just learned that, like, if I can go out there and, lift the game and all that kind of stuff and bring the skill set that I know I have, but then also I think communication is such a massive thing in the game, whether it be on attack or defense. And that's what I just wanted to bring, is come out there, bring my excitement and energy levels that I knew I had, because, I was just excited to be back with the girls and be back playing rugby league again. But yeah, I think communication is such a key thing. And I just felt real connected with my left edge too. Like the girls that I had outside me and inside me, I just felt a really good connection, even though I literally only had one training with them leading into that game.
Wow, that's crazy. You only had one training session. But I actually really want to ask, you obviously had a task at hand when you were over in Paris that you were focusing on as our NRLW season kicked off. How much were you paying attention to what was happening at home? When did you get the chance to watch the replays and, realign to come back into this season?
Yeah, so I didn't actually watch too much, and Sally didn't bombard me too much actually in the preseason either. He just wanted me to mainly focus on, what I had to do over there at the Olympics and to win gold. And he's like, go over there, win gold, and we'll see you when you get back type thing. And so, I didn't have too much early on in the preseason, and then caught the score of the first game. I was able to actually watch the second game where the girls played and just went down to the Cowboys. So I saw the replay of that game. But yeah, it was pretty much just that week I got back, that Tuesday I got back, just connected with the girls more so on a personal level, and then went in early on training on Thursday to catch up with Sowie and to see if anything had changed from last season around the game plan and the structure and all that kind of thing, and just picking up the lingo again with our moves and everything like that. So yeah, it wasn't too much. I think it was good, just like him not hounding me too much, just allowing me to do my thing. But then the person I am, once I've switched over codes, switched into something, I'm like full force. So I was training like 2 hours early, making sure I could catch up onto everything and make sure I knew what I needed to do going out there. And I'm still learning. It's only my second season in the game, so I'm still learning heaps of stuff too.
Well, speaking of personal, what we've been doing is we've been trying to get to know the girls that are coming on to our podcast on a more personal level. So we've got a few little personal, interesting questions just to find out a little bit more about Tyla off the field as well.
Yes, we usually start our conversation.
I know,
we got too
I got
excited.
carried away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Tyla.
So, really important question that I think that there's a lot of particularly young girls who would be looking up to you as a dual code athlete like you are. What gets you in the mood on game day with your playlist? What's the top of that playlist that's you've got in the headphones before you run out?
Oh my gosh, I don't even have headphones, nor am I listening to music. It's whatever is on the team speaker, really. I'm not someone that listens too much to music, or I'm not a music head. Like, there'll be a song playing, I know the lyrics, but I have no idea who's singing it or who it's by.
Do you make requests to the DJ?
Oh no, I just sit there and whatever's playing's playing. That's usually like Ticker's the one that's usually on the tunes there, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever goes with her, I'm happy with.
Now, do you have a game day routine or superstition that you always stick to before every time you go out on the field?
Yeah, so I've got like this little prick routine that I stick to. So that starts with like rolling out the whole body pretty much, and then making sure I'm getting my kind of Achilles ISO holds in, because over the last 8 years I've had Achilles issues on and off, which haven't been fun. So yeah, that process. But in regards to superstitions, I make sure I put my left boot on, and then I put my right boot on, tie my right boot, tie my left boot. It's kind of like one of my main superstitions, and it just happens, yeah. And it's just something I do every single time.
When you were growing up, who was your childhood sporting hero?
Oh, that's a good question. There's a range, I guess. Growing up, like as a kid, I remember watching the Olympics early on. One of the ones that stood out to me was our shot put champion, Valerie Adams, back home. She's an absolute legend in that sport. She was the first Kiwi to ever get a gold medal in the track and field for New Zealand at the Olympics. But then a closer note, I played touch footy a lot growing up, and so for me it was Bo Dela Cruz. She was an absolute legend in the game. Not a Kiwi, but someone that I thought was just insane with how she played, like just the vision that she had on the field, and
creativity,
the ability to chuck a long ball on both hands. Like growing up, just watching her was incredible. And then I eventually got to play against her, and I was just like, honestly, just stoked that I got to play against one of my idols growing up.
I got to actually play some sevens with Bo Dela Cruz, and she is electric. Like her creativity, so good, so fantastic. Now, what's like a strange talent that you have that people might not know about?
Strange talent? Oh gosh.
Or unusual talent, or just a talent that people might not know.
I don't know if I'm
karaoke. Karaoke by the
Oh, I can't sing, but I do love it. I do enjoy, like, my karaoke songs. Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla.
Oh, yes.
That's my go-to karaoke song. I don't know if it's a talent, but yeah, that's my go-to karaoke song.
I love it.
My goodness.
That might be a good question to use going forward. I might adjust the question to be what's your karaoke song?
I love that.
Yeah.
And at some point we're going to ask to see that of you. I mean, particularly if you guys, if you back up your gold medal with a premiership win, I think an Ice Ice Baby rendition is not much.
If we do that, 100% I'll give that to you.
Yeah, with your NRLW ring and your gold medal, just singing Ice Ice Baby.
Now, speaking of that medal, there is one more question I need to ask you about Paris, and it's that viral moment with your teammate, Michaela Blyde, who is so in love with Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. That was like the most beautiful thing ever to watch her. Could you give us a little bit of insight, like, about how she reacted when she saw her? And like, is that something you guys always knew about her, that she loved Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce?
Yeah, well, she comes from a track and a sprinting background, so definitely knew that she loved all the sprinters there. It was telling us how she'd watched that sprinting doco on Netflix the whole time we were in our pre-camp and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't with her when she first saw her in the the dining hall, but I was there when she actually met her in person, because I actually just came. Me and Stacey actually were on our way to dinner, I think it was, and we're a bit further away from the dining hall, so we're trying to find some bikes to catch and drive bike down to the dining hall. And then Stacey went one way. I was like, oh, I'll go check the other way. Then I saw a bike and I was like, oh yeah, cool, go grab that one. And then I saw like two people in Jamaican outfits walking along, and I had seen Shelly-Ann like a day before, and she was wearing a bucket hat and stuff. And I saw her again. I was like, is that Shelly Ann? So I quickly ran up to the bike and then like I did a little like loop around and then it was her and I just went up to her and was like, hi. She's like, oh, hi. And then she's like, oh, do you know Michaela? And I was like, yes, she's in my team. Because obviously by then, Shelly Ann had found out how Michaela had seen her and commented on her post and stuff like that. I was like, wait here. I'm going to have to give her a call. And we called her and FaceTimed her. She saw my face and then I showed her Shelly Ann. And honestly, the reaction was priceless. Like she pretty much almost burst into tears. She was in her massage, getting her massage. And then all you just hear is our masseuse go, just go. So she just boosts down from the massage, chucks her clothes back on, bare feet. She's got like a chocolate milk stain on her shirt. And then, runs up and then just hugs Shelly Ann with this massive hug and didn't want to let it go. But it was one of the coolest things to witness. Like one of our teammates who people fangirl about anyway, fangirling over one of the greatest sprinters the world's ever seen. So it was special.
Awesome.
And Shelly Ann's such a cool person. Like she came and watched our game and cheered not only Michaela on, but also our team. And she's never done that. The 5 Olympics she's been to, she's never gone and watched another sport. So that was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Oh, I love
what a
that.
moment to be there for. That's so great.
Certainly. Well, I mean, I think that segues quite nicely into you and your teammates, Tyla, because after your inaugural season in the NRLW last year, did you go back and give it a great rap? So we've got the likes of Stacey Walker coming over. Like, are you trying to bring everyone over?
I'm not gonna lie, I told them how much fun I had. I was like, and they absolutely loved hearing it and loved seeing myself. And then obviously Niall there and then Gail, who came across before us. So I was like, it's always there if you girls ever want to go. And I know there's like more girls back home that would love to cross over, but just not yet, But there's a few of us this season that have, and I know these girls are going to do so well just because they're so professional in their take of everything. Whatever they commit to, they're going to commit to 100%, whether it be the learning of the game itself or just the general prep and everything. So they'll bring across their professionalism and their competitive nature because, man, our girls competitive. We could be playing a game of cards and we'll be arguing over it to see who wins. So I'm excited to see how they go. Stacey made her debut last week. We've got Tanika Willison making her debut for the Knights this week. So even though I won't be cheering their teams on, I'll be individually cheering them on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then how important do you feel it is that the Warriors come back into NRLW next year?
I think it's massively important because, yes, we're seeing all this incredible talent come from New Zealand into the Australian competition and live in Australia. But then a lot of those girls too, I think by being at home, having your support system around you is so crucial, like whether it be your family or your friends or something like that. Like having a support system around you is very crucial. I'm just fortunate enough that I've been used to like traveling the world by myself and doing all these different things. But if you're quite new to that, like it can be a bit of a shock living in a different country for a long period of time, not having your usual support system around you. So I think that is awesome. And then just having somewhere for the local talent to be able to, go into. And the Warriors look like an incredible club in itself, like as we've seen over the years. And so I'm excited to see how the Warriors women's team goes next year, and their introduction back into the competition, I think, is very, very timely.
Do you think that might be an impetus for some Sevens girls to jump across and have a taste of NRLW without having to sort of move to Australia, uproot everything and potentially, make it a little bit easier to dip their toe in, so to speak?
Yeah, I think so, but not just the Sevens. I think any kind of rugby players that may be on the fringe too and may not quite have cracked that national side or are there or thereabouts, I think it's just awesome with how, the women's NRLW competition is increasing. It just makes everyone have a look and be like, okay, we need to step up our game now. Like the rugby side, we need to step up our game now if we want to keep our talent. And then that's just, beneficial for us as athletes at the end of the day. We're getting the best from our different sides of our sports, really. And it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. Raising the bar of expectation makes all the codes kind of step up and it's better for everyone.
I think it also forces not just clubs but decision makers to be more innovative as well, which it only means good things for the athletes.
For sure.
So, I think, it's a really exciting position that we're in.
Yes. I always love hearing you talk, Tyla, because you have such a great perspective because of all your experience. Before we let you go, the last thing that I wanted to ask you about was there's been a lot of conversation about your Dragon squad being the youngest, one of the youngest sides in the NRLW. You've got so much experience, and I wonder what excites you about these young girls who you're coming into that space and being a leader in it and seeing them sort of grow up and learn. What excites you about that next generation?
I know, I'm old in this team. I'm like the third oldest. I've only just crossed over 30. Bloody hell. But I think it's just the energy and the raw talent that they have that is coming through. And, a lot of them, they are fearless, they just go out there and just play, and that's what I love to see. They're not getting too caught up in everything, and even though they're playing in some incredible stadiums in front of some a lot of fans and people, there's just this fearless nature about them, and they're like, let's just go out, and if we make a mistake, we make a mistake, type thing. And I'm just excited to see how they go. We're young, we're inexperienced, probably people at the moment, before that win over the weekend, are still, even now they're probably still doubting us a little bit, but I love that. I love being the underdog. I love having no expectations on us. We literally can go out there and just throw everything at it every single weekend, really. And I'm looking forward to this week. It's another big challenge for us. But I know these young girls, if they believe in themselves, I think that's the first thing. They just got to have that pure belief in themselves, because I honestly believe in every single one of my teammates in this Dragon squad, and just excited to be back with them. And hopefully my energy, goes on to them, and we can just, muster another good performance this weekend for not only ourselves, but the crowd too down here at WIN.
And what have you made of Casey Ray since you've come into the squad? She blew the stadium apart in the under-19s Origin. She was phenomenal. What have you made of her since coming back?
Yeah, she's a little star in the making, isn't she? Like, she's just such a hard worker too. Like, I remember her being in our development squad last year and just training alongside her and just having chats to her, which is really cool. Like, before that game, I sat next to her and I was like, "You excited for this again?" She's like, "Yeah." And I'm just like, "I'm excited to play with you." And I was like, "Me too. Like, let's go out there and do this." And just to see her versatility as well. Literally on the weekend, she was at hooker, then she was in the second row on the left side, then second row on the right side. Like, the girl's not scared. She will literally go out in that field and play whatever position she needs to, and is adapting well in the environment that we have under Sowie too. So she's got a big, bright future ahead of her, whatever position she plays. But she's just got that kind of work ethic mindset, which is really cool to see of someone at such a young age.
The future certainly is bright, and your energy is so infectious, even for us, Tyla, so I can imagine what it's like for your team. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today, and good luck for the rest of the season. We love watching you play.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It's good to yarn you.
At Lite and Easy, we know that champions are made through hard work and dedication. That's why we partner with some of Australia's top athletes and teams to help fuel their performance. With Lite and Easy's delicious, ready-to-eat meals, athletes can focus on what they do best. Our meals provide the right balance of nutrition to help keep them at the top of their game. From the fields to the courts and everywhere in between, Lite and Easy is fueling champions. Lite and Easy, eat well and play hard.
And what a joy it is to talk to an incredible athlete like Tyla King. Hey, Ru.
It was fantastic. She is energy personified.
Yeah.
And like I said, like when she came on the field for the Dragons, she completely changed that energetic field of the Dragons outfit.
Yeah.
And they just, they were fantastic. So, she is very infectious in a good way.
We are so blessed to have athletes like that across the NRLW.
Absolutely.
And that means we're in for another great round of footy this weekend. Yes. And every NRLW game you can catch live and free on 9 and 9 now. If you're not watching them, you are missing out. You've got no excuse. You've got to be tuning in. And let's get stuck into our preview for round 4. Saturday, 17th of August. Everything kicks off at 11 a.m. in Brisbane as the Broncos take on the Raiders.
Yes, this will be a really good clash because the Broncos obviously coming off that huge win and huge way of doing it, returning to the winner's circle in the fashion that they did. Raiders coming off a tight loss to the Dragons, and I know Darren Borthwick will be disappointed that they didn't score any second half points and they conceded 24. So I am expecting the Broncos to turn up full of energy off the
Yeah.
back of that victory.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm expecting the Raiders to turn up with a lot of steel in their defence because I know what Darren Borthwick is like. He not only rates fitness, but defence is a big focus for him. So, and the players that he has in his team, they'll be just cracking the whip, wanting to get the
Yeah.
best out of everybody
Yep.
this weekend. So this is, for me, a really huge one. No changes for either side. Both sides remain unchanged from last week, which I don't mind as well, because then you can start to get a bit of continuity.
Yeah.
You know, we spoke about Mele Hufanga was huge for the Broncos. Gail Broughton was fantastic on
Yeah.
that left edge alongside Mele. And then also Stacey Walker, first game back, she had some great touches. Like that run through midfield was amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting them all to have a really good showing this week. Again, a lot of it will come off of what their forwards can do. If Keely Joseph and Leonard Dutzy can really lay a platform, it allows Ali and Gail to really utilise the weapons that they have outside them.
For sure.
Because outside Mele is Julia Robinson.
Just quietly.
Just quietly. And then outside Ali, they've got Shanae Sizolka.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
he's back from
Stacey
that hand
Walker.
injury.
So, you know, that's really important that the forwards get their jobs done. And it is going to be a big ask because I thought Samai Mataufa has been very strong throughout the year, which she always is to start off the year, defensively focused. She just rips in, gets her work done, and she drives everyone else around her with her actions. And I actually really like the way that Zahara Temara has been embracing her captaincy. It sits really well on her.
Yeah.
And you can tell through her play how comfortable she is being that leader. And she has a very good voice out on the field. And I know that she'll be cracking that whip. Mackenzie Wiki is a big strike weapon for them. So imagine those two centres, Robbins, Retty and Wiki up against Hufanga and Sizolka. Like you look up at, I could come up with every single positional matchup because they are all so good.
They are.
It's all so good. So the biggest thing for me, it's going to be the bench.
Okay.
How they're utilised and the impact that they have. Because the starting lineups, they're very even.
Yeah.
Very evenly matched. So it's going to be how and when the benches are thrown into the action. And that's going to be very, very interesting.
This is probably a tough question, but who's your tip?
This is a really tough question. It is a home game for the Broncos.
Yes.
I'm going to say that it's going to be the Broncos by maybe 2 points.
Okay, wow.
I think it's going to be very close because I believe the Raiders are going to come out firing. It wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders got out to a quick start and then the Broncos just work hard and get back into it. But, yeah, I think just at home, Broncos by 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Straight after, we'll head up to North Queensland for the Cowboys and the Titans. Another Queensland derby for the Titans 2 weeks in a row for them.
Yes.
Different type.
Different style. They're going to have to travel a little bit further. So it'll be a little bit warmer, which is nice.
Yes, I'll be on the sideline there, so I'm very happy about that.
Well, aren't I jealous?
I think the Titans are going to be looking to rip and tear, which is quite a challenge for the Cowboys, I reckon.
I think the Titans will be chomping at the bit to get some buyback from last week. They just couldn't sometimes when you get on tilt like that, you just can't right the ship. It's very difficult. But there was one point in the game, I think there was still 20 odd minutes left, and the Broncos were up 38-0. And I thought, oh no, there's still 20 minutes to go. What can happen?
Yeah.
The Titans were able to stem the bleeding a little bit and were able to just sort of find a bit of equilibrium, score some points off the back of it. Obviously, they're going to be incredibly disappointed with the result. They'll look at effort areas that they need to tidy up throughout the week and head into this weekend with a clearer mindset and just go, okay, that happened. We just have to take the lessons out of it and then apply them this week because you can't change the result of the past.
No.
You can only learn from it and then do better next time round. And I know that there's no way that they will be putting 2 performances like that back to back.
No.
They have too much talent in their side, and I think they will all be like they'll be front loading their energy coming into this game. And I think if the Cowboys might not be able to withstand the amount of energy that they bring, if they are able to, they've got a lot of personnel that can score points. Like Jakaya Whitfeld is a big strike. I like the move to Crystal Blackwell at fullback. And then you've got the two for me that really need to steer this Cowboys outfit around is Tallulah Tillett and Kira Dibb.
Yeah.
They really need to get their team around the field well. Tallulah's short kicking game is important. Her running game is really important. Kira's got a running game. She's quite a big body. She's worked on her defence. She's getting better in that space, but she's got a great kick. She can really turn teams around and try and force them on the back foot.
Yeah.
Even though it is a home game for the Cowboys, I think, like I said, I think the Titans will be front-loading their energy and they'll be packing their shoulders this week, and I think they'll be too strong.
Yeah. I dare say as well, because it's such a short competition, as we've spoken about, for and against is really important.
Yes.
And I reckon they'd be looking to be
they'll
put
be
on
they'll be
quite a
looking
show.
to get some, like I said, some buyback with
Yeah.
those points. They want to try and make up for the amount that they conceded last week.
Then on Sunday, we will continue round 4 by heading down to Wynn Stadium, where Tyla King's Dragons will be facing up against the Roosters.
Yes, this will be a big test.
Yeah.
And she alluded to that when we were having a chat with her, Tyla. This is a really big test for the Dragons because the Roosters have quite a settled lineup and they're all very experienced. We saw last week the Tigers had a great start. They had a really good start against the Roosters. And people will look at the scoreline and think 20 points to 4. They flogged them. Like, they just gave it to them. They did not.
Not at all.
It was just the perseverance and just that resilience and understanding of those Roosters players. Were like, we just have to stay in this. We will get there.
Yeah.
We just have to stay in this. We will get there. There was no panic. And they fought back. And then once they got a couple of quick tries, then a couple more followed in quick succession.
Yeah.
And obviously there was a couple of really serious injuries to the Tigers last week, and that does hamstring a team.
Yeah.
So, people might think that this is going to be a blow-away score. I think the Dragons will take plenty of energy out of their win last week and they'll turn up for a fight.
Yes.
They'll turn up for it, absolutely. I mean, the energy that Tyla King brings is fantastic.
And the belief, right?
Yeah.
And taking on the, back-to-back premiers like that at home, I think you come in with a lot more confidence. Now it's your home game as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also what made a big difference for them last week through their defence was their physicality last week, the Dragons. That was a big change for me from the first 2 rounds. They were very physical. Teakaranga Katoa, she was amazing through the middle.
Yeah.
And also, I think it was Alexis Toeniai. Great through the middle. Like, the work that those two got through was fantastic. And actually, Madison Mulhall, I met her parents after the game on Sunday night. We were staying at the same hotel.
Yeah.
And I got to meet them, and they're so proud of their daughter. And it was wonderful because it was an unexpected victory people didn't think was going to happen.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. However, I think the Roosters will be too strong in the end for me. However, I think they're going to be pushed again all the way to the end. And look, I'm tipping the Roosters, obviously, but the Dragons at home, you just never know. But I'm tipping the Roosters, but if I'm wrong, I'd be happy to be wrong.
Look, we're definitely in for another couple of very tight games this weekend.
Yep.
After that one, we'll be heading up to PointsBet Stadium, where the Sharks will take on the Knights. Now, can I say, I was very happy to be proven completely wrong, but I did not think the Sharks were going to put on the show that they did in the nation's capital last weekend after all their losses, and I was very, very impressed.
Yeah, I knew it. They had it in them. I knew it. It was just sometimes it's hard to see because of the amount of injuries they had. Yeah. And the amount of shuffling that had to happen. I think probably at halftime, everyone would have been like, "Oh, this is going to blow out."
Yeah.
But what really impressed me was that even though it was 12-0 at halftime, they didn't look panicked.
Yep.
And even though off the kickoff in the second half, they dropped the ball off the kickoff, and I thought, "Oh no, this is exactly what happened in the first half." So when that actually happened, it made me less worried about what the outcome would be for the Sharks.
Right.
Because the way the first half started, the Raiders knocked it on. They scored 12 unanswered points. I thought, well, hang on. All right, this half started the way the first did, but this time it's the Sharks to knock on. I reckon they're going to be okay. And you could just tell by the way they were playing, they weren't panicked.
Yeah.
They got through their work really well. They were sort of staying in their system and not losing their way, which was really good. Then, however, this week is going to be
tough.
this is a big turn up because the Knights will be stinging.
Of course.
After that loss. At home as well, after an NRL. So a double header with their NRL team. Not getting the victory there, they'll be very disappointed.
Yeah.
They'll be very disappointed. And they'll be looking up to get a ledger square up. And the Sharks are sitting at the top of the table.
Yeah.
Clear leaders.
Yep.
So they'll be looking to knock them off and take that perch back. It's going to be really a tough game. I think the Sharks can win this game.
I think they proved that last week.
Yeah, the Sharks can win it. The big thing for me that hurts the Knights is the loss of Caitlin Johnston-Green.
Yeah, huge.
And you could see that on Sunday. They miss her go forward because the way they normally play, that 1-2 punch of her and then Predabon, that is really difficult to stop momentum. Rima Butler came on and tried to provide, and she did some great runs. She was trying to help out and do her part there. So that'll be interesting. They've named Simone Carpani this week.
Yeah.
As well to return from injury. So she
did ACL last year?
Was it ACL or foot injury? She was out
but
for
it was
a while.
out for a while. I remember the injury. I remember the game.
Yeah.
You kind of knew straight away that she was done.
Yeah.
So it's good to see her back.
So she's returning and she's got some pretty good footwork and she's got some good energy as well. And this is going to be a big task for the Sharks at home.
Huge crowd as well because they've got their men's game straight after too.
Yeah, so that'll be great. That'll be really important for them that home crowd can really drive you. But then again, we saw last week the Knights were disappointed at home by the Dragons. So look, of course I'm going to back the Sharks. I'm going to back them.
There's no hiding biases here.
No, I can't. I can't. I can't not back them.
No, of course not. Of course.
But yeah, I'm going to back them to come in at home. It is going to be a real tussle, though. It's going to be a real tussle. Again, I believe it's going to come down to that bench rotation.
Yeah.
That's going to be really important. And while we're on the bench rotation, let's have a look at number 14 for the Sharks, Shani Smale.
Tell me about her.
Debuting this week in the NRLW. She is a superstar of the Sevens circuit. She's come over and I've been fortunate. I've actually played rugby with Shani. So I've known Shani for a long time. Yeah. And we've played some footy together many, many years ago when we were playing 15s rugby and a little bit of sevens. And for her to come across now, I just think that's so good.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. And she can be used. She's got that versatility. You can use her as an outside back or like a centre. You could use her in the middle. You can use her on an edge. Like she's got that versatility. She's got that physicality. And just having a chat to her this week, she just wants to knock people over.
Oh, God, that's what you want.
Which is great.
That's exactly what you want.
So that's exciting to see her make her debut this week for the Sharks.
So many fresh faces coming in and out. I mean, that's sort of the story that we kind of saw this time last year. Unfortunately, a couple of rounds in, few injuries, and the depth of each team is
tested.
Exactly tested. And I think the final game of the round speaks to that, quite a lot with the fact that it will be the Tigers taking on the Eels at Campbelltown. Tigers home game. Tigers, as we mentioned already, rocked by some injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just before we go on. The Knights, Tanika Willison is also making her debut.
See, you almost forget to
say
it all because it's so
Tanika
exciting.
Willison is making her debut. She's starting in that wing position. Obviously, Sheridan Gallagher suffered an injury to her knee last week. She bravely played through the game. And that's a big loss for them. However, Tanika Willison's pretty handy to get a player of her stature to come in. So good luck, Tanika, this weekend as well. But yes, going on this weekend, Tigers very much rocked by a couple of injuries to a key person, firstly, in Kezi Apps, their captain, or one of their captains, PCL injury for her. And she tried to stay on as long as she could because she couldn't tell if it was a hip, if it was a glute, if it was a hammy. And then obviously they just got her off and tested her and PCL. So that's 6 to 8 weeks, I think, which would be the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So that is a huge shame. But also I do want to just give a shout out to Harmony Crichton because she did her ACL in that game on the weekend.
Gosh.
And that is really devastating because she's
Yeah.
a really good young talent,
Mhm.
really, really good young talent. And we didn't really get to see everything that she has yet.
Yeah.
So she's got 9 months on the sideline. I just hope that those 9 months get her hungry, ready to go next year. This time next year, she'll be back.
Yeah.
She'll be back in the NRLW
Yeah.
this time next year. So if she sticks with it.
Mm.
So they're the big changes.
Mhm.
This is going to be a tough one for the Tigers.
Yeah.
Because the Eels are playing some good footy.
They really are.
Really good footy.
Yeah.
Last weekend, Rachel Pearson, I thought, moved them around the field very
Mm-hmm.
well. She had a couple of try assists. She had a couple of line break assists.
Yeah.
She was doing everything you want a half to do. She was
Yeah.
very good. Abby Church was great out the back for them as well.
Yeah.
Elsie Albert led from the front. Kennedy Charrington got through her work again. And they just look like a very controlled side
Yeah.
this year, the Eels,
Yeah.
which is really great to see.
Mhm.
So for the Tigers, even though it is a home game for them, I am tipping the Eels
Yeah.
for this one. However, there do need to be some really big performances from the likes of Sala Tongatuki, Christian Pio, those senior girls to really fill that void. So Kezi is a very big voice and she fills that space quite well. And Brooke Talataina will come into the starting lineup.
Mhm.
And Cheyenne McGlone will start at the other edge back row position. So those senior girls, it's going to be really important that they can set that platform, make sure the chat's positive and keep getting through their work. And then that'll allow Pauline Piliaira-Sambale and Lusana Lutu
Yeah.
to be a bit creative because when those two have a little bit of space, they are fantastic.
Mm.
And they're going to be up against it because Cassie Tohi-Hiku has had a
What a
cracking
start
start to the
yeah,
season
I
at
know.
6 for the Eels. And Rachel Pearson has been very controlled, as she
Yeah.
always is.
Yeah.
So, it's a very new or youngish halves pairing against a halves pairing that has been firing every
Yeah.
game so far for
tough.
the Eels. So it is a big ask. I'm tipping the Eels, but I would love to see another great display out of the Tigers because last weekend's display
It was great.
was fantastic.
Yep.
The result wasn't there for them in the end, but they put pressure on the Roosters for the whole game until sort of the last 7 or 8 or 10 or so minutes. we'll say.
Yeah.
And they were right in it. you know?
And it's a shame because I feel like they've had a couple of moments like that when they've really just, it's just been at the back end, things kind of fall apart. You know who else also really impressed me from the Tigers was Rakea Horn. I think she's got a lot of spark there, and when she's in a bit of space, she's got that pace as well. I don't know why, but I feel like quite protective of the Tigers in the sense that I don't want people to feel like it's been this they haven't won a game yet and it's been this dire season. It hasn't. They've shown
hasn't.
really great potential, and it's the strength of the competition. It's not the failings of the team.
No, it's definitely not. And the only game, and not even the whole game, just the first half of round 1,
Exactly.
that's the only thing that I believe Noddy would be disappointed in.
For sure.
Everything else, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And they're not getting blown off the park.
No.
That scoreline in game 1 happened because they couldn't hold on to the ball. They kept coming up with errors and giving away penalties. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You can be the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah.
If you constantly give turnovers, make errors and penalties, you're not winning a football game.
No.
So the fact that they were able to identify that, swap that, change that and stop that momentum basically in real time because their second half in round 1 was a lot better.
Yeah.
And then round 2 was a lot better. Round 3, they were constantly putting pressure on the Roosters. I would love to see them put in another performance like that where they just turn up hungry and ready to go. And I'm with you. I don't think that their season is a write-off.
No.
There's been really good signs out of it and even the first half of round 1, they learned the lesson from it and they
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't posted a win yet.
Yes.
However, but they will post a win.
Of course. It's just intensified because there's not that many games.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was a full-length season by the time you get to round 26, you've forgotten about round 1.
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
don't have that privilege
Everything's
yet.
magnified.
So, yes,
Yes.
exactly.
But I believe that will come soon.
Sure.
I feel like I just have a feeling it'll change soon.
Yeah.
There's too much excitement around the women's game.
much, yeah.
There's too much interest in it.
Look at all these
Broadcast
superstars who
is-
want to come
yeah,
here.
Yeah, exactly. Broadcast love it.
Yes.
Sponsors love it.
Mhm.
Fans love it.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get bigger and better. So yeah, I believe very soon we'll see an extended season, and then all of this is all worth it because
Certainly.
they're building towards something good, the Tigers.
And no matter what, we're in for 5 great games once again.
Oh, yeah.
All live and free on 9 and 9 now. Tune in, get around it. You know how after, the Tillies last year, there was like, oh, everyone's jumped on the bandwagon, blah, blah, blah. This is your time to jump on the bandwagon now.
Yeah.
Because, we're growing. It's in a great spot, but it's only going up.
Yeah,
and you
it's
want to
not going
be
anywhere.
there when everyone's like, oh, I've always been an NRLW fan, not a player. Always been an NRLW fan.
You made me laugh so much. I lost my headphones.
And you want to be an early adopter. That's what I'm saying. All right. So,
Well, you don't want to be behind the 8 ball.
no,
Get
no.
in now. So then that way,
Trendsetter.
that way you can just, when people start talking about back in 2019,
Yeah.
back in 2020,
Yeah.
come out with all those random stats, which people are
Exactly.
blown. They're like, how do you know that? I was there at the start.
Yeah.
No, it's exciting.
Well, you've already made the right first step by listening to the NRLW Weekly podcast, where we will be going through these rounds every single week for the whole season. Thank you for listening. I've been Marlee Silva. You've been Ruan Sims. I think we'll be
I still
continuing
will be. I'll
to
still
be that.
stay Rowan Sims. I don't mind my name.
Yeah, nice.
got a good name
I like
too.
my name as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out, and thank you to Lite and Easy for fueling Australian sport. We'll catch you next time.